Hi there, business owner, and welcome to the 3Bs podcast, the place where we go beyond the numbers and dive into strategies to help you build a better business one step at a time. I'm your host, Stephanie, a multi-award-winning entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in the bookkeeping and accountancy world. If you're a business owner looking to streamline, grow, and get back the time that you deserve, you're in the right place. We're tackling real-world problems, answering tough questions, and digging deep into business-building secrets in just 15 minutes each week. So are you ready to build a better business with confidence and clarity? Then let's go. Hello and welcome back to the 3Bs podcast, another episode. Here we are, episode 117. And before we get started, if you haven't yet listened to episode 115, explaining the 4 different types of introverts, then you need to go back to that one because this one won't make sense otherwise. And if you have taken the quiz and you came out as a social introvert, go and listen to episode 116, last week's. If you came out as a thinking introvert or you're just being nosy, then this episode is for you. If you're new here, hi, I'm Stephanie, an entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in the bookkeeping and accountancy world and an introverted entrepreneur who pushes herself out of the comfort zone to help you build a better business. So this is part 2 of the introvert series. So today we're going to talk about the thinking introverts. If your brain is always on, if you've got a million ideas but rarely hit publish, and if you live in your head but sometimes struggle to take action, this one's for you. And a little bit for me. As I said in the previous couple of episodes, you may relate to one or more of the introvert types. And if you don't know which one you are, go and do the quiz. It's in the show notes. It's also on social media. And once you know which of the 4 types of introverts you are, you can use the strategies that we're going to give you in this podcast to help you build a better business your way. Less burnout, less stress, let's play to your strengths. You ready to get into it? Let's go. So what is a thinking introvert? If you are a thinking introvert, you aren't necessarily shy or quiet. In fact, you might not look like an introvert at all, but your internal world and your inside your head is super busy. With thinking introverts, the best way I can describe it is if I had to put a celebrity as a thinking introvert, I'd go for Harry Styles. He thinks before he speaks. He speaks incredibly slowly. He writes the most beautiful song lyrics and poetry. He definitely takes things at a slightly slower pace, but you can see that he's thinking it through. You can see that he is reserved. And I think that a lot of thinking introverts are seen as reserved from those from the outside. If you are a thinking introvert, you process deeply, you analyze everything, and you're usually 3 steps ahead in your mind than where you actually are. You love ideas, you're incredibly thoughtful, introspective, and people have probably told you that you overthink more than once. Now, in business, that can look like constant planning, but actually taking no action. That's kind of me sometimes. Perfecting things behind the scenes before pressing publish, and holding back until every possible outcome has been considered and the risk has been mitigated. Now, that's not a flaw if that is you in business, but it can hold you back if you don't play to your strengths. So as with last week, I'm going to give you some strategies if you are a thinking introvert to try and help you build your business and move it forward your way. So strategy number 1 is to give your ideas somewhere to land. The first thing you need as a thinking introvert is a place to dump your brain. If you're anything like me, you'll have notebooks half finished, voice notes, sticky notes, and Google Docs hidden all over the place. But if your ideas don't leave your head, they don't help your business. So stop trying to organize everything before it's even written. Let's just get it out, pick one place to put it, and structure it later. Whether that's a weekly brain dump document, whether that's talking your thoughts out loud, even to yourself, voice note, or using a tool like Clicker, Notion, or Trello to put all your mess in and then start sorting it out. That's going to really help you. Your brain is brilliant. If you're a thinking introvert, the insight you have to things is incredible as a business owner and an entrepreneur. Don't let it get gridlocked by trying to be perfect. Quite often, because you're thinking out every possible outcome, you don't actually do anything. If you looked at my OneDrive, for example, or my Google Drive, you would find content planners, probably 6-7 months worth of content planners where I've gone in and I've wrote down what platform, what I'm going to cover, my imagery, the sounds I want for it, the B-roll that I need to use, the checklist for the B-roll I need to film, and I haven't done a single thing of it. It's all just sat there in my Google Drive of doom and never actually gets actioned upon, which is an absolute waste of your time and energy as a business owner. So if you're a thinking introvert, do find a place to dump your brain and then go back and edit it and go back and look at it later on, but just get it out of your head and down into one single place and not scattered across various different documents. Strategy number 2, again, one I'm not very good at and one I'm still learning, and is to pick one thing and back yourself. This is a big one. Pick one thing, just one. I know introverts love having options, especially thinking introverts. You'll create 10 new service ideas, 5 pricing models, and redesign your website before you even launch the first thing. And the thing is your audience can't engage with something you haven't actually put out. And I know it sounds obvious, but thinking introverts need to hear that truth. The challenge is super simple. The strategy you need to use is pick one thing. Just the pot strategy. Pick one thing. Pick one offer. Back yourself for 30 days. That 30 days, that offer, that's all we're going to focus on. And then tweak after and not before. And even if it's not perfect, it just has to exist and get out there. If you don't have the data from putting it out there, how can you tweak it effectively and actually build your business? Backing yourself for those 30 days is the part that is most important, is not changing tack 4 days down the line. This series of episodes for this podcast have been on my mind for a really long time. On my mind before I'd done the presentation and context, before I'd seen the outpouring of how much it resonated and helped the bookkeepers that are now accountants that I was talking to. And that wouldn't have happened had I have not actually done it, just put it to one side and then moved along. So this podcast series is out because I went and did that talk. Was it perfect? No. Did I fluff my lines? Absolutely. You can hear on the recording the wobble in my voice. You can hear the anxiety in my voice. But it was out there, and actually the feedback I had from every single person, and people were queuing up to talk to me, take selfies with me, ask me to sign copies of my book, which is completely overwhelming as an introvert. It feels so surreal. But what I'd said and the mistakes I'd made and tripping over my words had resonated with them. So pick one offer, back yourself for 30 days, no less, and then review it and start tweaking. And finally, the third strategy, if you are a thinking introvert, is to find an anchor person. You don't need a business coach yelling at you. You don't need a guru on the internet telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing. You just need someone to ask, so what are you actually doing with this idea? You just need somebody who will pull you out of that overthinking spiral. Even better if they can catch you before you get to that point where you've wasted all that time, and will push you into action. Now, I have a friend who's a fellow business owner called Sarah Mollison. She's been on the podcast before. Incredible entrepreneur, great business owner, mum of 3, absolute superhero, absolute superwoman. And she is my anchor. She's my anchor person. She is the person that I will go to with an idea. She's the reason that I have turned my talk at Accountex into this podcast, and then started telling me all these different things that I should and shouldn't do, all these different things I could do, and helped me brainstorm the idea of how to get this quiz out there. How would we most benefit the listeners of the podcast and the watchers of the podcast? How can I best help business owners? And then in an evening, she'll be like, so did you do that thing today? So did you do that thing we talked about? How are you getting on building that quiz? How are you getting on with recording those podcast videos? In all honesty, these were meant to be recorded yesterday and I just didn't get around to it because business is life and sometimes things just go awry. But she checked in with me and said, what are you doing? Have you done it yet? And that sort of accountability really helps as a thinking introvert. It could be a mentor, it could be a fellow business owner who's also building, or it could become your bookkeeper who low-key becomes your accountability partner. Hi, that's me. That's what I do for every single one of our clients at ABCS UK, because those quarterly meetings become ingrained in them, and that's when we talk about the business as a whole and not just the finances. But whatever that person is for you, find your anchor person. If you don't have one, go and find one. My inbox is open if you are looking for somebody to help, or if you need a recommendation for someone that could be a great anchor person for you. But the point is, don't build your business in an echo chamber. Don't build your business alone. I said on the podcast a few weeks ago, it takes a village to raise a baby, and your business is another baby, whether it's your first, second, third, fourth, whether you count fur babies, human babies, or just business babies. It takes a village, and you can't do it alone. Thinking introverts work better when their thoughts have a bit of structure, and 9 times out of 10 they need someone to reflect them back. So somebody that literally holds up a mirror to you and goes, you said you're going to do this thing, so why are you doing it? I think really helps thinking introverts. So if you're a thinking introvert, you don't need to be louder, faster, or more extroverted to burn yourself out. You simply need a single place for your ideas, a clear first step, and someone like my Sarah in your corner to keep things moving along. You've got the vision, you've clearly already started to build a business, so you definitely have some follow through. You just need to keep that follow through and build upon that. If you haven't taken the quiz yet and you've got to the end of this episode thinking, well, maybe I'm a thinking introvert, I'm not really sure. Or maybe last week you thought, no, I am a social introvert, and now you're like, that sounds a bit more like me. Go and take the quiz. It's live now. The link's in the show notes, completely free. Takes you a couple of minutes, 7 questions, and it will give you strategies tailored to your introvert type. And if you do the quiz and you come out as an anxious introvert, then next week's episode is for you. So do go and hit that notification bell on YouTube. Subscribe if you're listening to podcast platforms so that you know when the episode goes live. The anxious introvert is the overpreparer, the overthinker, who still feels underprepared, and the one who replays conversations long after they're over. And that is a little bit too relatable for me. I've been Stephanie. This has been the 3Bs podcast, and I'll see you next week for the next one. Bye. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. I hope you found it useful and that you're walking away with some motivation, inspiration, or education to help you build a better business. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and of course connect with us on social media for more insights, tips, and behind the scenes content. Your next step in building a better business is just a click away. I can't wait to connect with you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.